What's up everybody, Matt Maran here for another weekly update. So there's lots of exciting news to go over here this week, some really unexpected and just exciting stuff. So stay tuned for all that and more. But before I get into all the news here this week, I first wanted to give a huge thank you to the Chicago Hesed Fund for sponsoring this video. They're doing their 9th annual Tesla Raffle where you can win your choice of either a Tesla Model X, S, Y, 3, or Cybertruck, or $50,000 cash. Your entries support the great work of the Chicago Hesed Fund, which is a nonprofit that funds over 80 programs and services that helps families in crisis get back on their feet with things like food, furniture, job placement, help with navigating government funding, and more. In addition to winning the Tesla or $50,000, if you buy 2 or more tickets before July 11th, you'll automatically be added into a second prize drawing for the chance to win a bottle of Tesla tequila, valued at $1,600 for no extra charge. So for your chance to win, head over to ccfraffle.com where you can get $25 off 2 tickets by using the promo code MattMoran. And don't delay because the tickets are limited and only 9,999 tickets will be sold, so get your tickets today. Also, I wanted to mention I will be doing my live stream here. It's Sunday at 12:30 p.m. Eastern time here for those of you who would like to join. It's always a great time. We just answer your questions, talk cars, and just hang out. So join if you can. But anyway, getting into all the news here this week, I first want to say that it's kind of unexpected, but Infiniti had a dealer conference. Supposedly the first dealer conference they've had in like over 10 years. And Automotive News talked to some of those dealers, and we have some juicy new details about what is actually coming for the Infiniti lineup. So just last week, I talked about how Infiniti had the new logo they just debuted last week. There's also a new scent, a new sound for their commercials, and to go along with that scent is a new dealership and design experience and all that that's going to be revamped here for the new face of Infiniti. But like I said last week, what about the new products to fill these new showrooms and advertise with these new commercials? And now we have some info, supposedly, again, nothing 100% official or anything, but from the dealers, here's the info as far as what's coming next for Infiniti. So first off, there were 2 gas and 2 electric vehicles that were shown, and thankfully one of them is actually a sedan, supposedly, which is also a nice surprise. So the first one is coming very soon, and that's supposedly going to be sometime this summer, and it's the all-new QX80. And so it'll supposed to be more luxurious and start above $100,000 is what some of the sources were saying, which they're saying they want to compete with the Escalade, the Navigator, but you can get those for under $100,000, at least hypothetically, on the configurator sites. So, you know, this would be starting above that. I think that maybe for a loaded one or something, but surely they don't think this can be priced more than an Escalade and sell. We'll see what happens. But anyway, it's supposedly going to be based on the next-gen Nissan Patrol platform and will follow in the footsteps of Lexus with dropping the V8 for a twin-turbo V6 that supposedly does around 450 horsepower in this setup. They didn't detail what kind of twin-turbo V6, whether they boost the one from the Nissan Z or do something a little meatier. We'll have to see. Anyway, this QX80 is also supposed to get a new air suspension for the first time and a 24-inch touchscreen, which is sounds really large. Next up will be a coupe version of the QX60 that'll be called the QX65. That'll be aimed at the Lexus RX, so that's going to get rid of the third row, just be a 2-row vehicle, and supposedly have more dramatic styling than the QX60, including a new grille that'll be shared with some of these other new Infinitis, and also some shark fin taillights, which sounds kind of Cadillac-esque in my opinion. We'll see, how that actually materializes, but that's just what the dealers have been saying. Moving on to the other 2 EVs here, by the end of 2026, a new electric sedan will be reviving the Q70 name, supposedly. Very interesting. And that'll be going on sale first and be the first electric Infiniti here by the end of 2026 there. And dealers say it'll get a longer wheelbase than the old car, which is that's a very old car. The Q70 has been gone for several years now, and so they said it'd be kind of like a modern version of that, but that's again still pretty dated. Anyway, it'd have shorter overhangs. There's a new lighting signature supposedly, and dealers are comparing it supposedly to a Tesla Model S and a Porsche Taycan as far as how you can visualize that in your mind. But lastly, in 2027, an electric midsize crossover is supposedly going to be arriving, which is the most popular segment. I'm surprised they're not doing that first, honestly, and they're leading with the sedan, but more power to them for starting with a sedan there. And yeah, just always good to hear about any kind of sedan in the pipeline for anybody, because again, sedans don't sell nearly as well as crossovers, so that's an act of bravery in my opinion, but great to hear. So, it's still a little underwhelming though. Only 4 models in the next 4 years from Infiniti. Nissan, I think either earlier this year or last year was quoted as, saying how Infiniti, they're all in on Infiniti. They're going to really revamp Infiniti and do this huge, impressive change for Infiniti. And it's just 4 models, which, I mean, sure, it's welcome, but I still just, and I've talked about this in the live streams and other times as well, I feel like they need to do more. Put an Infiniti badge on an Altima and gussy it up on the inside and the outside, and, you know, churn out stuff like that too. You know, Lexus isn't afraid to, you know, take the Camry platform and make the ES and things like that. And why Infiniti thinks they're above that for some reason, I don't know, but that's the key volume stuff that I think they need, that they're missing here. You know, so I don't know. You know, we'll see if the 4 models cut it. Supposedly, whenever Automotive News talked to the dealers, some of them were excited about it, but others thought that wasn't enough. So I think a lot of them echo the same kind of stuff I'm saying here. It's like, you know, we need more. So we will see what happens, but best of luck to Infiniti. I never want to see anyone struggle, so I hope that they do well. But I don't know if 4 models are going to cut it. Let me know what you think about that in the comments below. Also, another company that has very ambitious plans and seems to understand you need more than 4 new models in the next few years here. Hyundai Motor Group this week revealed a bit more of their plans for this 2nd generation EV platform that I was talking about a couple weeks ago that's going to be underpinning a new Stinger successor, supposedly. And so it's called the EM platform. And the plan is called the Hyundai Motorway, and it adjusts their forecast, first off, for EV sales from 1.87 million cars annually globally to about 2 million cars per year, electric cars by 2030. So, I mean, they're really seeing a strong growth in those EV sales, and they think it's going to continue. So, I mean, to be doing 2 million EVs a year by 2030 is very impressive and ambitious. And so the new platform is currently planned to underpin 13 different models. Now we're talking Infiniti. Someone at Infiniti, take notes here. 13 models on one platform, talking about maximizing efficiencies here. So Hyundai Motor Group's president and CEO said, in the 2nd generation platform, the scope of vehicle development extends beyond the midsize SUVs covered by the current EGMP system. It encompasses nearly all vehicle classes, ranging from small and large SUVs to pickup trucks, along with the flagship models of the Genesis brand. So clearly it sounds like an electric pickup truck is in the pipeline for them, or at least it's something that would be possible on this platform. You know, we will see if that's something that would be sold here, or, you know, what the deal is as far as that goes. But I mean, surely they're seeing the red hot demand for all these full-size electric pickups. And, you know, I think that now they don't have to worry about making some type of big brawny engine or anything to compete. You know, it might be a little bit easier to do something full size and compete with the Americans. You know, we'll see. It's hard to beat them at their own game, but, you know, maybe Hyundai's actually going to give it a real solid try this time. We'll have to see. But still, 13 models, very ambitious and impressive. And, yeah, you know, they didn't, I think of a timeline for exactly when all of those are arriving, if they'll all come before 2030 or sooner or later, I don't know. But still very ambitious nonetheless. And they also, in these plans, talked about how they want to do a more futuristic stuff, like autonomous cars, robotics, hydrogen, all that kind of stuff. And we will see also if, I mean, 13 models is a lot of models. Is there room for a production version of the Envision 74 concept? I really hope so. Or, you know, some kind of other sports car aside from the flagship Genesis stuff. You know, there was the trademarks for like GT90, GT80, all these things. I'm guessing for some flagship Genesis sports cars. You know, we will see what ends up happening with all that. But, you know, very exciting nonetheless. And, I mean, even we already know, you know, we're supposedly hearing that the new Stinger is going to be on this platform as well. Be very impressive. They're talking over 600 horsepower in that and all kinds of fun stuff. So we will see. That's supposedly suggested for a 2026 launch. So that could give you an idea of when to start expecting vehicles on this new platform to start arriving. Again, we'll see. Things can change. Hyundai's been, you know, working at this lightning pace and just outpacing everybody, it seems. So it could come next year from Hyundai. It wouldn't surprise me with how fast they develop stuff and refresh things every other year, basically. So we'll see what happens. But anyway, very interesting to hear that. And we have some supercar news here this week. So Ferrari just gave us like a teaser one day before, but it was really a surprise, at least to me. I don't know. Ferrari revealed the SF90 XX, which is a more hardcore version of the SF90, and the first model with the XX name there to be street legal. And so it gets 30 more horsepower than the regular SF90 for a total of 1,016 horsepower from its 4-liter twin-turbo V8 and triple electric motor setup. It gets the extra power from new pistons and other small changes to the engine internals. along with slightly stronger electric motors. It adds up to a 0.2 second faster claimed 0 to 60 time, not quoted at 2.3 seconds. But that's likely conservative. I think Car and Driver already got 2 seconds flat on the regular one, so this should be a sub 2 second car most likely. There's also an extra boost mode now for the electric motors, which should help it to be even faster. Supposedly that's just for like corner exit and things like that, but maybe it could be used for a launch mode as well. I don't know. But brakes are bigger. There's new braking software, plus revised transmission programming from the 296 GTB that provides better shift logic and provides some overrun crackles from the louder exhaust while shifting, which I'm very excited to hear. That sounds delightful. And as you can see, it has the more aggressive aero and styling for better downforce and a whole new back end there that not only has a new light bar design you can see, but is also slightly longer than the regular car. Top speed is 199 miles per hour for both the Stradale and the Spider models, probably because of that huge wing. I think it'd be higher if it wasn't for that. But anyway, it'll be available both with the coupe and convertible setup there, hypothetically. I say hypothetically because 799 coupes and 599 convertibles are all pre-sold already, of course, and prices are going to be about $844,000 for the coupe and $932,000 for the Spider. Seems pretty awesome. I mean, I really love the way they jazzed it up there for this XX version, and very awesome to see that. Lamborghini CEO has some news here this week. So he confirmed during an interview with Autocar that the Urus will go plug-in hybrid only as far as soon as next year. So whenever they're getting a refresh for the Urus for the 2024 model year, I believe, or next year. And the next generation of the Urus is going to go even further. That's going to come likely in around 2028 and for the 2029 model year. And that'll be fully electric. So big changes here, and this 2024 model will supposedly debut towards the end of next year, so I guess that might actually be a 2025. But so it means if you want to get your purely gas-powered Urus, get it soon, because that's not going to be an option here in a little over a year. So it's also rumored the new Huracan is going to use a variant of this setup. And so, you know, I don't know. I've kind of worried the Huracan motor is not going to be very exciting. It's just this twin-turbo Audi V8, essentially, with a plug-in hybrid thing. Going to be a little lukewarm on that, but we'll see. Hopefully they make it more exciting. But anyway, very interesting to hear, though, about how the Urus is going in that direction. Some other really big news, and I'm an Aston Martin fan, I will admit, but this is pretty shocking. So Aston Martin and Lucid announced a partnership here this week, which there were some rumblings this was going to happen. But so it first off gives Lucid a small share of equity in Aston Martin, and they'll be producing an SUV and a GT car using the Lucid platform here towards the end of the 2020s. And Aston Martin's chairman, Lawrence Stroll, said, "After our due diligence, Lucid exhibited the best existing technology with the highest level of horsepower and the smallest battery height," and added, "The target for Aston Martin is to build the highest performance EVs, and we found ourselves with Lucid of a similar mindset and very aligned. We are proud to be partners with Lucid." So that lower, thinner battery pack is the real key, because that's what you need to make these low-slung sports cars, you know, the GT cars and stuff. And so that is, I think, really the key factor for them, because I think I'll mention a little bit later here, but I think they want to do some type of supercar eventually on this platform as well. But they're talking about an SUV and a GT car like as if they're going to be slow and soft. But listen to this. So these cars are going to be even wilder than the craziest Lucid, which the Sapphire is already like a sub 2 seconds 0 to 60, insane performance. So they're going to be, you know, the Lucid use a three motor setup at most, and that already does, again, 1,200 horsepower. Lucid CEO, though, confirmed along with all this news that Aston will be using 4 motors with a unique twin motor front axle for up to 1,500 horsepower in something like a DB12 that's going to be soft and a great Grand Tour with 1,500 horsepower. Are you kidding me? Like, that's going to be wild. And they say that Aston Martin is taking it to the next level. No kidding. That's an understatement, I think. So Lucid will also be providing the batteries, but they explained that the main difference is in thermal integration and battery layout. It will be a different shaped battery pack with a software difference. And so Aston says they're hoping to have test mules on the road as early 2024. So, I mean, you know, maybe 6 or 9 months from now, you could see something rolling around in the streets with Aston Martin stuff with 1,500 horsepower, you know, at least in prototype form. And so their chief brand officer at Aston Martin said that after they do the SUV and the GT car, then they will talk to customers and see customer appetite. This will depend whether we do a sports car. Data and credibility, those elements will shape this. I mean, come on, who doesn't? People with this kind of money, who wouldn't want a 1,500 horsepower, insane all-wheel drive Aston Martin supercar? You know, I mean, sure, there's some people that are just going to want something only gas powered, but I mean, surely, even if they're not Aston Martin fans, I mean, people are going to want a 1500 horsepower thing that goes beyond what Lucid offers. That sounds wild and honestly sounds un-Aston Martin like. I'm not going to, interject my opinions too much here this week, but, just do people actually want a 1500 horsepower Aston Martin? I think people want a 15 horsepower car, but Aston Martin just doesn't seem to be the brand would be leading the charge as far as the horsepower wars right now. But hey, I'm all for it. I think that'd be awesome. But, I think most people would be happy with a 600 horsepower dual motor setup Lucid thing, and that would still be plenty. But hey, I'm not complaining about more power, so that's very interesting to hear that. In some other EV partnership news, another domino this week fell in the NACS conversion we've been seeing here over the past several weeks. So the mass exodus away from CCS connectors, and so Volvo this week has announced the same thing everyone else has. 2025, Volvos will be getting the NACS ports, and next year Volvos will be able to charge on the Tesla Supercharger network. And they'll be having an adapter available for people that want to use CCS, and then after 2025, they'll be selling CCS adapters for anyone that has the NACS port in their Volvos. So seems like everyone's switching over to this, and I think Volkswagen, I just saw, is also now in talks to potentially switch as well, which is really interesting for Volkswagen because, I mean, it's just a connector, but, they own the Electrify America network, which is heavily invested in CCS and has all their CCS chargers. Supposedly, I mentioned last week, those will also switch over and have a new dual hookup design, so they will have CCS and NACS at these new next generation chargers, coming here even later this year and early next. So, they will adapt as well, but it's very interesting that Volkswagen is jumping in this early. I thought maybe they were one of the last holdouts, but doesn't seem to be the case. We will see. I don't think they've officially announced anything yet, but sounds like they're in talks. And at this point, expect everyone to switch over. So, it seems like a done deal basically at this point, and very interesting how this all played out just over the course of a few weeks. And one exciting electric car idea that sadly isn't happening here is a new Volkswagen Beetle. So even though there's this new, everyone got excited because there's a new movie, little animated movie called Miraculous Ladybug and Cat Noir, which features a new little electric Beetle there alongside other Volkswagen concepts. And so Autocar this past week asked Volkswagen's CEO about it and the possibility of a Beetle coming back. Unfortunately, Volkswagen's CEO, and this is the new CEO, the previous one seemed to be open to it, but this new CEO says, I don't think so, because there are certain vehicles that have had their day. It wouldn't make sense to bring it back. I wouldn't say with 100% certainty, but from where I stand now, I wouldn't consider it. It's the same as Scirocco. It had its day, and then there was a new model based on a reinterpretation. To do that again, I don't think so. And going forward with balancing all these technologies and the cost that is associated with it, we've got to invest money in the best possible place. And that's fine. I understand, very few people would actually buy a Beetle. The Beetle would probably still be around if more people actually bought the last version. I understand that, but at the same time, this is a perfect time. I mean, supposedly one of the other interviews quoted him as saying that retro cars aren't in style anymore, which is clearly not the case. And I even have a few more examples here coming later in the weekly update here. But hello, they have the ID Buzz, which entirely depends on the nostalgia thing. With the colors, with the design, with everything. So everyone would be like, oh no, we can't do retro stuff. We can't bring it back. And they've been doing Volkswagen buses and stuff and concepts for decades and decades. And it never really ended even in Europe. And so for them to be like, oh yeah, we can't do retro stuff like the Beetle anymore. That's not Volkswagen. But oh, look at this retro bus. Isn't it great? It's like, okay, are you just trying to bluff, or are you actually believing what you're saying? Just seems kind of strange. I mean, I'd love to see the Beetle come back, so maybe I'm biased, and I understand no one would buy it most likely, but it'd be cheap, it'd be easy to do, it could be a really great entry-level model, and, I don't get it. It was the people's car. I think it could be the people's car again if they make it truly cheap. I think it could be a great little thing for Volkswagen to offer, but it doesn't seem like they're interested, at least officially. We'll see if they surprise us, but kind of a bummer to hear that. But if the rumors are true, Toyota clearly doesn't agree with Volkswagen, because a retro car that does seem to be returning is the Toyota Land Cruiser, I should say retro truck, which was confirmed a couple of weeks ago. Toyota announced it's going to be coming back, but this week we have some new rumors thanks to drive.com.au. So they claim, even though they're an Australian site, they had some info on the US version somehow. So they claim the US version will get unique styling compared to the rest of the world, with our version supposedly having round headlights that the rest of the world won't be getting. And the design will be inspired more by the old FJ40 and the 70 series Land Cruiser. They also claim that while it'll be based on the GX platform, like all the other rumors have been suggesting, they also say that it'll be a more hardcore off-roader, and it'll again be positioned to sell in low volumes, which to me says expensive, because even if it was super hardcore like a Wrangler, there's still be, you know, a possibility they could sell a ton of them. So this makes me worried. It'll be basically the same price as a GX for people who, you know, want to save $3,000 and have round headlights and a Toyota badge instead of a Lexus badge and Lexus luxury, which was the problem with the last generation Land Cruiser, at least here in the States. It was, you know, like $3,000 cheaper than an LX, and 99% of people went for the LX, and rightly so. I hope they don't shoot themselves in the foot again here with this. We will see what ends up happening. This is just a rumor, you know, but that would create some more space for the 4Runner to still thrive and do its thing. If the 4Runner is the one that's actually reasonably priced and the Land Cruiser turns out to be some $90,000 Toyota truck, you know, we will see. Just, again, a rumor. You know, take it with a grain of salt. You know, hopefully we don't have much longer to wait for official word on what this new Land Cruiser will be like, but no new teasers, nothing, you know, to you know, say from Toyota yet. So we'll see what happens there. But interesting to hear that rumor nonetheless. Another retro SUV, though, that we have news about here this week is the Mercedes G-Wagon. Also something that was brought back, was a huge success here for the new generation. I digress. But anyway, Mercedes announced a final edition here for the V8 powered G500, which appears to be ending production here in March of 2024. They said when it'll be replacing its V8 with a turbo inline 6 instead. You know, the Mercedes straight 6 turbo there. So it appears the AMG will continue with its you know, V8s. So I believe this is just the G500 that's losing the V8. And the final edition here that they're offering doesn't make any changes to the V8, but does get unique badging and accents. It gets AMG wheels to go along with the limited production of just 1,500 units, 500 of each in white, black, and the olive color there. So there's no specific info yet on how many of these will be coming to the US, but, you know, I'm considering how many people, especially in California, buy these things. Even around Pittsburgh here, I see a decent amount of G-Wagons. So I'm sure they have a following here, and there'll be some people that'll probably want it. So I'm guessing they'll send it over here, but we'll wait and see about that. In some other Mercedes news very briefly, they teased the next generation AMG GT. And interestingly, so we have one image here shows, you know, the car being a little taller, I think, and a little larger than the old AMG GT. But interestingly, they're doing a paid preview event where I guess they're really trying to maximize profits here. They're charging people that are like in the Mercedes-AMG club or whatever $500 a head to get in, and you have to be, I think, in Germany to even see it. But $500 to get in, which, come on, like, first off, all those people easily can pay $500, and two, how much money are they making by selling, you know, maybe 100 tickets for $500 each? Like, really, Mercedes, you care about, you know, making 50 grand or something? Like, I just seems kind of strange, but okay. So those people get to see it a little bit early, and I'm sure they'll have their phones taken away and stuff. We'll see if anything leaks out. But anyway, there'll be supposedly some type of public reveal after that event, which is happening in the middle of July. So, you know, we'll see, you know, when we see it. But, you know, great to see that it's on the horizon here. Another high-performance German car that was teased this week was the BMW M5 Touring wagon, which I didn't know was on the horizon, and I'm very happy. I don't think anyone, at least anyone that's not in the know, you know, would be expecting any kind of wagon version of the M5, but here we are. Great to see. And so for this one, we get several images here, including a shot of the silhouette, some close-ups of the back end. And so hopefully they decide to offer this one here in the States, unlike the M3 Touring, which unfortunately did not get here in the States. But, you know, if Audi can justify the RS6 Avant and Mercedes justified the E63 wagon, come on, BMW, bring the M5 Touring here, please. That would be awesome, but we will see. I'm not holding my breath for that one. But BMW says they're going to be starting on-road testing here pretty soon, and it'll be revealed in 2024. So even if we don't get it here in the States, still just awesome they're doing it nonetheless. But, you know, fingers crossed that one comes here. And some other performance BMW news here. They revealed the 2024 X1 M35i. And thankfully, this one will be coming to the US. And so I believe this is kind of taking the place of the old X2 M35i, which the X2 is no more, you know. So I think this kind of is filling those shoes. So it runs a 2-liter Turbo 4 that does 312 horsepower and 295 pound-feet of torque, and should sound great thanks to a louder quad-tip exhaust. There's also also larger brakes, wheels, and adaptive dampers. It of course gets, sportier touches on the outside, the inside there as well. It runs through a 7-speed dual clutch automatic and has an all-wheel drive as standard with a limited slip diff. They claim a 5.2 second 0 to 60 time, which is likely conservative because all of these BMW 0 to 60s are always conservative. That'll be a sub 5 second car for sure. And so all 2024 X1s also get the new iDrive infotainment software that's spreading through the 2024 BMW lineup as well. And the M35i will start at $50,895, which actually sounds pretty reasonable considering, GLBs can get way more expensive than that. And, for the 35 version and stuff. So, I don't know. This seems like it could be a pretty good bargain. Again, as long as the options aren't insanely priced. But it'll begin arriving at dealers in October, so coming pretty quickly. I think that's a really cool little package. I think that could sell really well with how much larger the X1 is now. It honestly just kind of reminds me of like the original X3 generation in size. And yeah, I think it'd be a great little fun, daily driver. So great to see that. And the last little bit of BMW news here is a rumor for now, but it's that the BMW M2 will already be getting a bump in power to 475 horsepower for the 2025 model year here, which would be a 22 horsepower bump. So, and this is also before the CS version coming, which that they're saying could be, even over 500 horsepower. So, the claim comes from an insider that's well known here on the BMW Post forums, YNGULDN, I don't know how to pronounce that, but anyway, they're the ones that claim this. They also say that some of the popular BMW colors are coming back, like Portico Blue and Sao Paulo Yellow are also going to be offered here for the 2025 model year, which is all great news if true, because again, more colors out there, more exciting, bright colors, the better in my opinion. And so anyway, very interesting to hear that. And the last news here this week comes from Toyota of Europe, and so they revealed the 2024 CHR. I'm not going to get too into the details of the new CHR because we're not going to be getting it here in the States, unfortunately. But the highlights here are that, of course, we see Toyota's new design language, the kind of headlights and stuff that we've seen already on the Prius and others. And it's available only with hybrid powertrains, including a new plug-in hybrid setup. So the base engine is a 1.8 liter engine with 140 horsepower. But the other engines come from the Prius and the Prius Prime, that 2-liter 4-cylinder hybrid and a plug-in hybrid 2-liter 4-cylinder. And so in the base regular 2-liter here, you have 198 horsepower for the regular hybrid and 223 horsepower for the plug-in hybrid. So again, very similar power ratings to our Prius and Prius Prime. Like the Prius, the regular hybrid version will also be offered with all-wheel drive as well, which I know a lot of people in America really wanted an all-wheel drive CHR. And now, you'll be able to get it in Europe, but unfortunately not here in the States. But again, we have the Corolla Cross, which is more Americanized, and I think what more people want anyway. But it'd be cool to kind of have a sporty thing. It's too bad Scion isn't around anymore to, plug this in as a fun little Scion or something. But anyway, the plug-in hybrid will do 41 miles of electric range, similar to the Prius Prime as well. The interior gets dual 12.3-inch screens for the gauges and infotainment, along with many other nice touches. And I think there's space for two, subcompact crossovers. Other companies do too. So, maybe they'll surprise us, but it doesn't sound like it's coming to the States here. But anyway, cool to see that. I think it looks really great too. Lastly, I'd like to thank all of you that are members of the Matt Maran Motoring Club. I really appreciate the support from all of you month after month. And so this week I wanted to welcome new members, Giorami and Wild Frames. So thank you both so much for becoming members. I hope you're enjoying the membership perks so far. I know Wild Frames, thanks for joining in, and Giorami last week in the live stream there. And that's one of the big perks here of becoming a member is you get priority answering there in the live stream. So for anyone else who'd like to join and become a member, there's always links here in the video description, as well as join buttons here on the video page and on the channel page. And I really appreciate the support. I really appreciate Carlos gifting all those memberships last week as well. And it's just such a great community here. It's so much fun in these live streams, and so nice to have all that support from all of you members especially. But anyway, thank you all very much for watching. Let me know your thoughts on all this stuff in the comments below. Please also leave a like and subscribe to keep these videos coming. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Be sure to also head over to ccfraffle.com once again to get entered to win that Tesla. And I hope you all have a great July 4th weekend-ish here, even though it's on Tuesday. Hope you all have a great July 4th holiday weekend here. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.